So, okay, let's say you're using this holiday time now to sit there and take stock of your own life. Perhaps you're coming to similar realizations. You can do more. You are made for more. You do deserve more. You do want more. You want more from your career, maybe your relationships, whether that's romantic, business, platonic, right? Family. You want more out of yourself. You want more out of life. So here's the question then. What's it going to take to level up in 2024? And now, of course, that answer will probably be different for everyone. I think what I've discovered is that, for me at least, a lot of it starts with my thoughts, with my mindset. Now, as you know, this show is all about becoming aware of and taking control of our thoughts and our mindset. And I think the most empowering part of all this is that we are responsible for what we think and how we think. And so you can begin this process right now, and you can carry it forward throughout the year. There's nobody else responsible for how you think and how you look at the world. So if you'd like, you could start once you finish watching this episode and giving it a thumbs up. Right? So if you're sitting there thinking, I'd like to increase my productivity. I'd like to get more done. I think I could be a better boss. I could be a better employee. I could get that promotion, right? I could be a better parent. I could maybe be more of a role model to my kids. I could be there more for my kids. I could be a better leader. I could be a leader in my own home. I could be a better partner. I could be a better husband, a better wife. And you want all these things for how you present in your social sphere, but perhaps too, you want to continue on your own self-development, right? Diet, fitness, breaking bad habits, becoming somebody who you really feel is in there waiting to come out. You want to feel happy, or you want to feel more energized. And I'm not trying to sell you snake oil and BS here. I really do think that you can become all those things if you want to. And I really believe, at least in my case, when we are willing to rethink how we think and what we think, all of that we want, all of that we know we're capable of, comes to be for us. Talking about the problem of focus, especially the problem of focus versus distraction. I've begun to make some changes in my focus already this week, and I'm seeing some positive feedback already, some good results. But let's define this problem of focus clearly. Let's talk about the challenges we face when we can't focus, or when we're focused on the wrong things, when we're distracted by the wrong things. I want to offer some solutions to our problems of focus. I want to talk about how we can begin to improve our focus. I'm going to try and insert a few personal examples. I'm going to ask you a few questions, so stay tuned, stay engaged. And again, if this is working for you, if this show is making even a 0.1% adjustment or difference in your life, let me know. Give us a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. The Q&A feature on Spotify. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can talk to me directly through Facebook Messenger. I'd love to hear from you. Any kind of engagement you are willing to give helps others find this show, helps us get the message out there, helps us build this community that we're building, that you, in fact, are getting in on the ground floor. So let's go forward and talk about focus, how to improve it to start getting more out of life in 2024. Okay, let's get serious. Let's define this concept of focus. To me, it means what we choose. That's very important. What we choose to think about, what we choose to look at, and what we privilege more than others. What are the things that we are consistently looking at? And what are the things that we are consistently not looking at? Focus, to me, is set off or counterpointed or opposed by distraction. So without sugarcoating it, I'll just say I have a lot of problems with focus. I have major issues here in some ways. And I think it is the reason I feel that in certain areas of my life, I am spinning my wheels. And maybe you could now think about this too. Are there things that perhaps we just haven't got there yet? We're working on them. Could it be that we're just not focusing clearly on what it would take to do those things? To me, I am distracted from thinking clearly about the things that I truly want. It's fun to think about them, but to focus on them is another matter entirely. And so the consequence of poor focus, The opposite of focus is distraction. Let me give you an example. I want to grow this podcast to reach more people, to begin to make money. I want to grow my video production business. I want to become financially more prosperous so that I can live life on my terms, have more time to myself, be available to my loved ones, be a provider, be a supporter. That's great. But quite frankly, some of the major steps to actually doing that, I seem to be avoiding. Yes, I am working. I'm paying the bills. I'm putting out new podcast content when I can. I'm not marketing it well enough at all. I'm not marketing myself as a video producer either. I'm not networking. I'm not really challenging myself to grow and learn more about my craft. I'm simply, I would say in some aspects, truly not growing. In fact, I'm sort of breaking even or staying even. And as you know, money that sits in the bank is in fact shrinking, right? Because of inflation. If your money is not growing, it is shrinking. There is, in some senses in this life, because of inflation, if you like, or the concept of entropy, there is no steady state. We either grow or we shrink. So let me ask you now, what are some things that you want, but you have just not yet been able to achieve? And see, you know very well what it is that you don't have. You may be like me where that lack, right, that failing, that negativity, that sort of absence of a thing, that not being a thing, not having a thing, becomes more of a focal point than the positive, the what you do have, the what you are working on, right? It's quite, and I've talked about negational thinking before. This is it to a T. Very, very aware of what we are not and what we do not have. And if we choose to focus on the negative over the positive being what is real and what we do have, we are now in fact distracted by the negative. What I've found then is that when I become distracted by these things that I haven't yet achieved, I am no longer focusing on the steps it would actually take to get there. Isn't that crazy? Sinister even. It's easy to become distracted by what we're not and what we don't have. But the consequence of that is that our focus shifts from the path to actually getting there. You know, too often I say, well, that's good enough, or I let a hard day mean I take the night off and don't do a little bit of extra work, or worse, if I really get beat up out there in life, as we all do, I come home and distract myself further with stupid podcasts and overeating and not doing the things I need to do to ensure that I have a good sleep, and it can start to snowball. There are times when I let my pain or my inability to see clearly the path forward stop me from progressing down the path. That right there defines focus. We need to, as best we can, as often as we can, keep that focus on the steps toward the positive, toward the progress, towards where we would like to end up. When we let that focus upon our shortcomings distract us from the path towards our longcomings, right? When we focus on what we don't have and we let that distract us from how we can build towards getting the things that we want, we become a victim of our own desire and our own fear. So another consequence of poor focus is not just distraction, but we begin to lower our vibration, lower our consciousness to a place of desire and fear. We begin to doubt. So focus then becomes our primary tool against becoming lost, confused, and afraid. So what do we need to do then? We've defined, we've understood the consequences. We've started to see the problem, how we're looking perhaps away from where we really would like to go. If focus is our primary tool against that, what do we need to do? So I think first and foremost, we need to realize this. And I was lucky enough to realize it at some point this year that I just wasn't putting the hammer down, that I wasn't focused intently on what I needed to do all the time. And I would love to say that perhaps this episode could provide that for you, but we come to this realization and we can resolve to focus on what we can do today. When the path is blurry, when we're unsure, when we're sort of drifting and looking at that big dark cloud of all the things that we're not, which by the way is out of focus too. It is our responsibility to refocus on the immediate and on the present. Because the steps to those larger goals, right? You want to be a better parent. That's a gigantic thing to say. I want to grow my business. That's a monumental task. But the steps to those larger goals are the steps that we take every minute of every day. So when we lose focus on this, suddenly we now have this big, out of focus, dark, foreboding thunderhead. There's lightning in there. God, I'm not even sure what's going on there. I'll never be that. I'll never get the promotion. I'll never move out of my parents' basement. I'll never buy the house. I'll never finish my degree. I might never become a father. I might never meet somebody that I love. I'll never leave my hometown. Blah, blah, blah. If you hear yourself thinking about your existence and about your goals negatively, right? I'll never, I won't, I can't. If you are talking about major things in your life in that way, your hopes, your wants, your dreams, it is now time to become very clear on the individual steps that you need to take to get there. It is a simple case of awareness, resolving to improve it, and now reframing how we talk about it. And yes, shifting that focus away from what it's not to what it is and what it's going to be.